I'm Jordan Belfort, and this is Sales School. I want the 75-inch to be, not the 50. I want that ribeye, not the sirloin. I'm going first class in business and never coach. Simply, there are certain times when paying a little bit more is worth it. Just like there's a huge difference between that stretched out sadness in your drawers and Tommy John underwear. When you're wearing Tommy John underwear, you're that much more comfortable. So you can do everything, and I mean everything, better. Listen, I wear Tommy Johns, and you should too. Returns and exchanges are free, and right now you get 15% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/school. That's 15% off Tommy John underwear and loungewear at TommyJohn.com/school. One more time, TommyJohn.com/school. See their site for details. When we talk about enthusiasm, I always say, it's not that over-the-top crazy enthusiasm. It's bottled enthusiasm that sits just below the surface. And here's where it gets interesting. Because, he's been through the straight line, this guy. He said to me, I was using the straight line, exact words, before I knew I was using the straight line. I had learned it through someone who learned it from someone else. We had the whole straight line thing, the old formula, right? And it was passed down from generation. And then when I actually found out, then I saw that I bought your course, so it took it to a whole new level, right? He goes, but I still having trouble getting these guys to close. And I said, I wonder what it is. What is that one missing thing he can't, essentially, he's himself is a world class, so he can't teach others to do the same. And I'll tell you exactly what, that is a great thought. And I think it will really help everybody understand how you get yourself to that next level. It has to do with certainty, the transference of certainty, and the fact that what I realized today is that I have a way of sounding absolutely certain about something, even when I'm using a tonality of sincerity or the reasonable man tonality. In other words, see, when we talk about, I say at sales, the highest level is the transference of emotion, and the emotion you're transferring is certainty, right? But here's the thing, there's a tonality for certainty, right? There's a tonality for certainty. And there's a tonality for sincerity, utter sincerity, and a reasonable man tone, right? Sound fair enough? But even when I use those tonalities while I'm in sales mode, there's still an underlying certainty that comes through that essentially sells the line, that sells the tonality. And I use that word, almost like the way an actor says, you got to sell the scene. The way a great actor, like a Leo DiCaprio, when he sells the scene, he has a way of, through his body language, his tonality, and it's just the way he sells the scene. He makes you certain that, yes, you're certain that he really is sincere. So even when I'm using the tonality of sincerity, I need to make sure that you are absolutely certain that I'm being sincere. There's an underlying theme of certainty that flows through the entire sale. So the point is that this higher level of using the straight line is when you have the ability to sound certain even when you're sounding sincere. That you're essentially, there's an underlying sincerity. Imagine this. You have the 3 10s. Very simple, right? They have to trust and connect with you at a very high level, trust and connect with the company at a very high level, and love the product. Your 3 10s, right? And without those 3 10s, that absolute certainty for 3 10s, it's virtually impossible to close, right? But what happens is, so there's also certainty about everything else along the way. In other words, the old ABC, always be closing. Well, from the first words out of my mouth, I'm making them certain that I'm a person worth listening to. When I'm sounding sincere or using a tone of sympathy and empathy, I'm actually making them certain that I really am sincere, that I really have empathy. And I don't mean this in a manipulative, evil way, because you really need to feel this. It really helps when you want to have empathy. You want to be sincere and you want to be reasonable. I'm not talking about manufacturing bullshit here. What I'm saying is making sure that as you're acting in a way that's congruent with how you feel, that there's an underlying thrust of certainty that permeates through the entire sale and never stops. That's what I do. So even when I sound like I'm urging you or trust me or sincere, there's an energy force I never forget in my mind that I'm transferring certainty. I'm always being judged. that I'm one stupid statement, one bad tonality, one wrong body language away from breaking rapport and blowing all the certainty I've created, not just off the 310s, but all that intra-sale certainty that allows me to move someone down the straight line from the open to the close. This is what I do when I work with someone, when I work with the sales force, and I really dig into the tonalities, and I make them go line by line, word by word. What I'm doing is I'm training them. When I say, sounding good, when I say you sound good, it's not just applying the right tonalities at the right time. That's a big part of it. But there's this underlying baseline transference of certainty that starts from the moment you open up your mouth, and it keeps going and going and going and never stops until you close the deal.